Hello, and welcome back to Transforming the Mind that I'm reading. Just gonna get right into it. Meditation, a spiritual discipline. What do we understand by meditation? From the Buddhist point of view, meditation is a spiritual discipline, and one that allows you to have some degree of control over your thoughts and emotions. If they come in here, will you have them be quiet, please? Why is it that we don't succeed in enjoying the lasting happiness that we are seeking? And why are we so often faced with suffering and misery instead? Buddhism explains that our natural state of mind is such that our thoughts and emotions are wild and unruly. Since we lack the mental discipline needed to tame them, we are powerless to control them. As a result, they control us, and thoughts and emotions, in their turn, tend to be controlled by our negative impulses rather than our positive ones. We need to reverse this cycle so that our thoughts and emotions are freed from their subservience to negative impulses, and so we ourselves as individuals gain control of our own minds. The idea of bringing about such a fundamental change in ourselves may at first sight seem impossible, yet it is actually possible to do this through a process of discipline, such as meditation. We choose a particular object, and then we train our mind by developing our ability to remain focused on that object. Normally, if we just take a moment to reflect, we will see that our mind is not focused at all. We may be thinking about something, and all of a sudden we find that we have been distracted because something else came into our head. Our thoughts are constantly chasing after this, and that because we don't have the discipline of having a focus. Can you wait till I'm done? Oh, thank you. So through meditation, what we can achieve is the ability to place our minds and to focus our attention at will on any given object. Now, of course, we could choose to focus on a negative object in our meditation. If, for example, you are infatuated with someone, and if you focus your mind single-pointedly on that person and then dwell on their desirable qualities, this will have the effect of increasing your sexual desire for that person. But this is not what meditation is for. From a Buddhist point of view, meditation has to be practiced in relation to a positive object, by which we mean an object that will enhance your ability to focus. Through that familiarity, you become closer and closer to the object and feel a sense of intimacy with it. In the classical Buddhist literature, this type of meditation is described as shamatha, tranquil abiding, which is a single-pointed meditation. Shamatha alone is not significant. In Buddhism, we combine single-pointed meditation with the practice of analytic meditation, which is known as vipassana, penetrative insight. In this practice, we apply reasoning by recognizing the strengths and weaknesses of different types of emotions and thought. Together with their advantages and disadvantages, we are able to enhance our positive states of mind, which contribute towards a sense of serenity, tranquility, and contentment, and to reduce those attitudes and emotions that lead to suffering and dissatisfaction. Reasoning thus plays a helpful part in this process. I should point out that the two types of meditative approach I have outlined, the single-pointed and the analytic, are not distinguished in the grounds that they each rely on a different type of object. The difference between them lies in the way each is applied. not in the objects chosen. To clarify this point, I will use the example of meditation on impermanence. If a meditator remains single-pointedly focused on the thought that everything changes from moment to moment, that is single-pointed meditation. Whereas if someone meditates on impermanence by constantly applying to everything he or she encounters the various reasons concerning the impermanent nature of things, reinforcing his conviction in the fact of impermanence through this analytic process, then he is practicing analytic meditation on impermanence. I'm having trouble with that word, sorry. Both share a common object, impermanence, but the way in which each meditation is applied is different. I feel that both types of meditation are actually practiced in almost all major religious traditions. In case of ancient India, for instance, the practice of single-pointed meditation and the application of analytic meditation are common to all the major religious traditions, both Buddhist and non-Buddhist. During a conversation with a Christian friend of mine some years ago, I was told that in Christianity, and particularly in the Greek Orthodox tradition, there is a strong and long history of contemplative meditation. And similarity, a number of Jewish rabbis have spoken to me about certain mystic practices in Judaism which involve a form of single-pointed meditation. It is therefore possible to integrate both types of meditation into a theistic religion. A Christian, for instance, might engage in contemplation by reflecting upon the mysteries of the world, or the power of God's grace, or on various reasons that he or she finds deeply inspiring and that enhance his belief in the divine Creator. Through such a process, the individual might arrive at a deep-felt faith in God, but then could rest his mind in that state and remain single-pointedly focused. In this way, the practitioner arrives at a single-pointed meditation on God through an analytic process. So both aspects of meditation are present. All right. Obstacles to meditation. Buddhist texts speak of 4 principal obstacles that one must overcome for meditation to be successful. The first is mental scattering or distraction, which arises at the coarse level of mind and refers to the tendency for our thoughts to be scattered. The second obstacle is dullness and drowsiness, or the tendency to fall asleep. The third is mental laxity, which means that our mind is unable to retain sharpness and clarity. Finally, at a more subtle level, there is mental excitement or agitation, which stems from the fluctuating, changeable nature of our mind. When our mind is too alert, it becomes excitable and easily agitated. And then our thoughts go chasing after different ideas or objects, which make us feel either elated or depressed. Too much excitement leads to all kinds of moods and emotional states. By contrast, then laxity arises. It brings a sense of respite, so it can feel quite pleasant because it is restful. Despite this, however, it is actually an obstacle to meditation. I have noticed that when birds and animals are well fed, they are completely relaxed and contented. So when we hear a well-fed, happy cat purring away, we could say that it is in a state of mental laxity. Mental dullness occurs at a coarser level of mind, whereas mental laxity, which is in a sense a result of dullness, is experienced on a much more subtle level. In fact, it is said that it is difficult for a meditator to distinguish between genuine meditation and mental laxity. This is because in mental laxity there is still a degree of clarity. You have not lost the focus of your attention in the meditation, but there is no alertness. So although you have a kind of clarity in your perception of the object, there is no vitality in the state of mind. For a serious meditator, it is very important to be able to distinguish between subtle laxity and genuine meditation. This is all the more crucial because there are said to be different degrees of mental laxity. The other obstacle we spoke of is a scattered, distracted state of mind, and this refers to the very general problem we have as soon as we try to focus on a particular object. We find that our mind very quickly loses its power of attention and gets distracted and carried away by ideas or memories that can be pleasant or unpleasant. The fourth obstacle, mental excitement, is a subcategory of distraction, but it refers more specifically to a distraction associated with pleasant objects. The reason for specifying this as a separate class is because pleasant thoughts are what distracts us most from meditation. They can be recollections of a past experience or something that we have enjoyed, or thoughts about something we would like to experience. Memories and thoughts of this kind are often major factors which interfere with successful meditation. Of these four obstacles, the two principal ones are distraction and mental laxity. How do we deal with these obstacles? Dullness in particular seems to be closely connected with our physical state. So, for example, if we deprive of sleep, we can experience dullness. If we don't follow a suitable diet, be it in terms of what we eat or the quantities we eat, this can also bring about a state of dullness. It is for this reason that ordained members of the Buddhist monastic order are advised not to eat after lunch. By refraining from doing this, monks and nuns can maintain a certain clarity of mind that is conducive to meditation, and they will also have a mental sharpness when they wake up the following morning. So good dietary behavior is very effective antidote for mental dullness. If we turn now to the problem of mental laxity, it is said that the reason laxity arises in meditation is because we are not alert enough, and because our energy is low. Whenever this happens, we need to find a way of lifting our spirits. And one of the best ways of doing this is to cultivate a sense of joyfulness by reflecting on our achievements, or on the positive aspects of life, and so forth. This is the chief antidote for laxity. Generally speaking, mental laxity is said to be a neutral state of mind, in the sense that it is neither virtuous nor non-virtuous. That is, it gives rise to neither virtuous nor non-virtuous thoughts and actions. However, at the start of the meditation session, the mind might begin in a various state. For example, a meditator can be focusing single-pointedly on the impermanent nature of life, and then, at a certain point, he begins to lose the alertness of that focused mind and lapses into mental laxity. At the beginning of his practice, however, his state was virtuous. Agitation arises when our state of mind is too uplifted and we are overexcited. The antidote for this is to find a way of bringing that excited state down to a more sober level. One way to reflect on thoughts and ideas which have a naturally sobering effect, like death and the transient nature of life, or the fundamentally unsatisfactory side of human existence. These methods can be applied, of course, in the content of almost all the major religious traditions, For example, in the case of theistic religion, if one finds there is too much dullness and mental laxity in one's meditation, then one can uplift one's state of mind by contemplating on God's grace, or on the great compassionate nature of divine beings. These thoughts can instill in you a sense of joy and lift your mind out of dullness. Similarly, if there is too much excitement in your meditation, then reflecting on how you are often unable to live accordingly to God's precepts and teachings, or remembering original sin, can immediately bring a sense of humility that will temper your elation. In this way, the practices can be adapted and incorporated into different religions. To summarize, we have seen that in order to counter the 4 obstacles to meditation, and particularly the 2 principal ones, distraction and mental laxity, what is required is the skillful application of 2 important mental facilities, mindfulness and introspection. Through introspection, we develop a vigilance that enables us to see whether, at any given moment, our mind is under the influence of excitement or distraction, and whether it is focused or lapsing into dullness. Once we have observed our state of mind, mindfulness allows us to bring our attention back to the object of meditation and to remain focused on it. So we can say that the practice of mindfulness is the essence of meditation. Whatever forms of meditation you practice, the most important point is to apply mindfulness continuously and make a sustained effort. It is unrealistic to expect results from meditation within a short period of time. What is required is continuous, sustained effort. Regardless of whether the actual term is used or not, analytic meditation is in fact applied in everyday life. In almost every profession, take the example of a businessman. To be successful, he has to have sharp, critical facilities, examine all the pros and cons in the negotiations, and so forth. So whether he is conscious of it or not, he is applying the very same analytical skills that we use in meditation. Generally, of the 2 types of meditation, it would say that it is analytic meditation that seems to have a greater effect in bringing about the transformation of the heart and mind. Until next time, thank you for listening.